Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome back to the show. It is exactly 9:33 a.m. and we cross over to the Western Cape and say many, many congratulations to you, Goolam Fakier. You have been appointed as the station manager for the Voice of the Cape since February this year. And as the Malay saying would go, I say slamat to you for an amazing achievement. Assalamu alaikum, congrats, and welcome to the show.
Shukran wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Baie terima kasih. Soos hulle in die Kaap sal sê, ek waardeer
Absolutely.
dit. Ja, ek waardeer dit. Dit het sommer so lekker deurgekom in 'n klomp 'n bakkosistes wat ons sommer so ge-celebrate het op die 1 Februarie. Ons het sommer op 'n lekker holiday gegaan van die 2 Februarie af, all in terms of celebration. And thank you very, very much for the opportunity on your platform.
Alhamdulillah. Ons wag vir die koeksisters hier in Johannesburg. So I don't know how you're going to get it to us, maar ons wag. Okay? Die
Ons moet 'n plan
celebratory
maak.
koeksisters. Die celebratory
Definitely.
koeksisters. Okay.
Definitely.
Ghulam, lovely talking with you. Did this come as a surprise to you? How long have you been involved with the Voice of the Cape?
It did come to me as a surprise, although it was always something that I wanted to aspire to work towards. I've never ever thought that it would come at this age for me. Um, I've been in community radio in totality for about 27 years, 26, 27 years. I was 13 years old when I walked into
Oh,
the
wow.
studio of Radio 786, here in Cape Town, and I did most of my foundation training with Radio 786, and I spent my entire high school career there. Once that had happened, I had then matriculated, and I, did some voluntary work for the Voice of the Cape. I've applied at the Voice of the Cape in 2002, 2003, and I was then basically appointed on a voluntary basis, stipend basis. They're just going to cover my transport, as a technician, as a controller for the Voice of the Cape. And in June 2004, Munadia Karan, the late Munadia Karan, without me knowing, she had basically vied behind closed doors for me to come in as a producer in her department. And so only on the 1st of June in 2004 did I ever hear that I will now become a producer. And Munadi basically taught me everything that I know in terms of current affairs, news, actuality, community things, how to identify news, how do you make news your own, how do you cross barriers, how do you break stigmas, how do you just step into communities, and how it is that you are doing this and remain sincere all the way. So 2004 came, and I did all of that. I broke away from Voice of the Cape. I assisted a community radio station out in Port Elizabeth, Gqeberha, came back, and got back into Voice of the Cape. And in 2013, I was basically offered an opportunity at a national television network. And so this is now out of the comfort of radio, and I worked in television on a news channel, News 24, with 24 a news channel, where I was basically responsible for the scheduling, the content planning, the sales aspect, the marketing aspect of this news channel. Until last year in 2022, when some of the posts became available at Voice of the Cape, when they made some structural changes, I've shown some interest, but I didn't know that I would be considered because of the strict policies and guidelines that they've applied to do so. But when I was offered the position, I was very excited. I did not think about it. I accepted it immediately, and for me, it was more about accepting the position because I know that with the Voice of the Cape being the biggest community radio station in the Western Cape at this point, and also the first Muslim radio station in the entire South Africa, we would be able to continue to do da'wah. I would be able to be a part of that. I've got a good solid team to be able to guide me, to lead the rest of the team, and I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity. Somebody actually highlighted this to me when I was on air, because I used to do the breakfast show at Voice of the Cape, and now I had to step out of that role. And before I stepped out, somebody had actually highlighted to me, hey, gee, do you know that you are actually the youngest station manager that Voice of the Cape had ever seen? And I had no idea. So, alhamdulillah, that is,
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah for that. Does that then mean, Gulam, that you are going to possibly bring some very fresh and new ideas um, without creating too much of discomfort to the rest of the team? But do you believe that it's time to almost take a fresh and a new approach as far as the voice of the Cape is concerned?
Oh, 100%. 100%. For me, I'm a team player. I love working with people. I love sharing ideas. I love seeing how a thought can just become a reality. But I also need to change my approach in the sense of asking for permission, where you go and you ask your team, do you think this can work? Do you feel comfortable about this? Do you feel there are certain times, and most of the time when you have to take that approach, but there are also going to come times we are going to have to go and issue that as an instruction because it needs to happen a certain way. And for us to look at how, instead of shying away from controversial topics, from controversial people, how is it, instead of shying away from them, how do we bring them into our space, but also bring it, in the sense of how it will matter to our community? Shying away from things is no longer an option with me as a station manager. We must be able to deal with things. I think we are adults. I think we are Muslim. I think our people have progressed, alhamdulillah, throughout the world so significantly that they are open to talk about things that people are 10 years ago that they were afraid to talk about. And so, yes, it's going to be a little bit discomfort to some people. It's going to maybe make some people uncomfortable. But as long as we are guided according to the principles of the Quran and the Sunnah of our beloved Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I don't see how it is that we cannot, work around the discomfort. But for sure, there will be definitely.
Alhamdulillah, we in media realize the important role we play, how we can change viewpoints, how we can shape things differently, how we can guide and move our community into thinking in a certain way, as you rightly pointed out. Having said all of that, and undoubtedly the Voice of the Cape has played a crucial role in the thinking of our people, the Muslim Ummah in South Africa, particularly in the Western Cape. Going forward with these young, fresh ideas of yours, what do you believe your challenges are, and how are you going to, how are you going to approach those challenges? Because you might get a lot of pushback.
Absolutely. And I think the pushback is the one thing that I have prepared myself for. Um, I'm a Muslim. I follow the Quran, I follow Sunnah, and that is undoubtedly the truth. And for me, whatever decision I make, I look at what would the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had guided me on. I've got a strong, solid team that consists of members of the ulama that I consult on issues that might be a little bit of a controversy. The pushback for me, I need to understand it from a media perspective. And we need to get our community, we need to get our ulama, we need to get our NGOs and all of these organizations that forms a huge base of our listenership. We need to let them understand that as a media house, we are also governed by certain media principles. And so while a community organization or a member of the ulama or whoever it might give you a little bit of pushback because of certain things that is perhaps not aligned to what their narratives are or what they are, or, their thinking process, etc. As a media house, we need to remain objective. We need to ask the hard questions. We must be able to say, you're telling me that we've got pushback. I'm just using this as an example, of course. You're giving me a little bit of pushback on this. Please give me a little bit more, nasiha, or give me stuff to read so that I would be able to understand why it is that you are guiding me in a certain way. But what is of utmost importance, Jelly, is the fact that these organizations and people, they need to know that you as Salam Media is there to serve the community, to serve the truth, to be able to come through and be able to, you're going to adjust the sails in the wind. You must be able to do that. And if there's any sort of narrative where you find, there's editorial interference, you can no longer call yourself objective, in
Absolutely.
my view. So
Absolutely.
with the voice of the Cape, being the first Muslim radio, it's first Muslim radio station in South Africa. It's the biggest Muslim radio station in the Western Cape at the moment, community radio station. You can imagine all the people that comes through here. People want to share comment on advertising. People want to share comment on, a guest that is going to arrive. People want to share comment about where you went to go and do a Jumu'ah broadcast, or how Goolam is brushing his hair, or whatever the case might be. People have got this entitled sense where they just feel that they can share opinion about it. And so my approach, I love those people, by the way, but my approach is very, very simple. Come here, let's talk. What is it that you can do different? If there's nothing that you can do different, then I'm going to ask you to reserve your opinion. If it is that is something that I can learn from you, I'll say, come along. I need you. I need that thought. Can I please use that thought? So the pushback has got to come with a lot more than just a no. It's just voice of the Cape is this, Gulam is this, Islam media is this. It hasn't. No. If you're going to push back, you're going to push back constructively. You're going to push back
Absolutely.
objectively. You're going to come and you're going to fight the fight with me. And you're going to realize that it is not personal, but as Goolam Fakier, the station manager of the Voice of the Cape, I govern the station, and I guide the station based on ICASA regulations, based on the basic conditions of Employment Act, of the LRA. I've got to take media into account. I've got to become familiar with the BCCSA, because all of those things kind of interlink. Get in touch with Centex and all this kind of thing. It's a lot to be able to consume. So I'm not here to be able to push an agenda or to create a narrative. I'm here to guide. I'm part of a team that I love. And, if there's pushback needs to come with constructive criticism, and that I welcome.
Ghulam, undoubtedly, being a public figure, uh, you are under the microscope, as are all media personalities. You have to have a very thick skin, but you also have to have your facts, and you must, as you've indicated, don't take things personally. You need to engage, and you need to explain your position. Having said that, one of the very big issues, not only in South Africa, not only amongst the Muslim community, but it's a huge issue all around the world. The Western world has one agenda, and we as Muslims have our answers to the whole issue around the LGBTQ plus whatever and plus issue is. Have you guys at the Voice of Cape addressed that already? Are you planning on addressing it at some point? Because you are going to get pros and cons to that discussion, simply because sadly, Allah knows best. There are lots of people with those tendencies amongst our own families and our own communities. So we have to be very sensitive regarding those issues as and when we raise them. How do you view that?
I was, I was very, I didn't know that you would that we're going to be talking about this, but it's a very important question. I'm going to tell you why. The LGBTQI plus community, especially in Cape Town, where you have the pride parades, etc., etc. For me, and this is my personal view, as a young, I want to call myself entrepreneur, businessman, or station manager or something. We shouldn't negate the fact that, and I always used to make this analogy on air. When I was on air, I said, can we please not say that we do not know anybody who is part of the LGBTQI plus community? Can we please just put that aside? If you're going to say that you don't know anybody that is part of the LGBTQI plus community, then you're living under a rock. More so, can we please not say that Auntie Jochi's son down the road is not perhaps part of that LGBTQI plus community? Or Auntie Jessie's daughter, a beautiful name, in the fold of Islam, but is part of the LGBTQI plus community, and they make no mince about it, and it's no secret. Everybody knows about it. Can we please not say that we don't know people like that? The surprising response that I got from my listener was, you know what? I'm a mother, and my son, I pray for my son every day, because my son had openly come out stating that he is part of the LGBTQI plus community. And she says that she makes dua and she makes dua and she makes dua. And this sparked something in me. And I am now sitting with my programming guys, with members of the ulama as well, to be able to know how is it that we're going to address this issue. Because this is my view. Number one, I am not qualified to say these people are out of the fold of Islam, so I'm not going to do that. Number two, I know personally of many people who are close to me, whose sons are or daughters are part of the LGBTQI plus community. And so when we don't bring them part of that change or discuss or understand if there are psychological issues to it, are we doing are we not doing an injustice to the rest of our community by not informing people whatever the issues are, how it is that these people are feeling, what it is that's doing to them? But there are so many things that we need to talk about other than just that. There are people who are, so beautifully Islamically learned, yet they are part of the LGBTQI plus community. Where does that put them? We need to get into this discussion. We cannot shy away from it. As a Muslim media house, both you and I, if we don't talk about these issues, then we are not standing up for the very true sense of what our mandate is as Muslims without hurting those people. But with that being said, though, no way, or am I, supporting the LGBTQI plus cause. I cannot, but I will never shun people aside if I don't understand that complete process. So we as a media house, we have to talk about it. We have to engage. We have to, there's a lot of psychological issues that are going on in our community other than just the LGBTQI plus community,
There's, for
that we need to address.
example, yeah, for example, let me come in here and talk about the issue around gender-based violence, substance abuse, and the list goes on. But I've just been cued by my producers that we need to wrap up. Let's leave it there. Let me end off by saying that you sound very dynamic, full of energy, sounds like the person that is the right person for the job. So as I wrap up, may I ask if I can apply for a job at the Voice of Cape? Do I qualify?
100%, you've got the face for radio. We'll make the rest work.
Just the face.
Just the face. That's enough. That's enough.
Okay, great. Send the air ticket and I'll come for a live interview. Listen, wonderful
Um,
talking with you, Goolam Fakier. Absolute pleasure. And we look forward to the amazing, fresh, innovative changes that you are going to be introducing at the Voice of the Cape. I'll be with you every step of the way.
Shukran so much, and thank you to you and the team for allowing me to share my experience and for us to touch on some of these controversial issues and topics, how it is we're going to cover in the Muslim community. We definitely need to keep in touch and so that we can obviously collab on
Absolutely.
certain initiatives, inshallah. I'm looking forward to
Absolutely.
it.
I look forward to that. I'd like to talk with you, once in a while, just to bring us up to speed and share ideas
Absolutely.
on air, of course. So
Yeah.
wonderful talking with you. Go well. Salams. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
That was Goolam Fakier, the new station manager for the Voice of the Cape. It is exactly 9:51. Standing by to talk with us is, I think, Inayat Wadi. Am I correct? Yes, I am correct. He's going to bring us up to speed on the Abir Zayat tour to South Africa, inshallah, in a minute or two.